no job out this motherfucker. I ain't what motherfuckers be like, oh, well, they asking for this. You can't survive off no 50K salary, 80K. You have to make at least a billion to be like, I live a good life. Like, I can pay my bills and be comfortable and save up and do this and the third. If you ain't making a
So, first of all, a bean is $100,000 to anybody who doesn't know. If you are a single person and you're making $80,000 a year and you can't take a vacation, if you're living check to check at $80,000 as a single person, you have a spending problem. You need help. You don't need more money because you're just going to spend more money. At $50,000, even at $50,000, you can still afford a place to stay. You can still afford whatever clothes. You can still save up for a vacation. You can still do these things at $50,000 as a single person.
being, you have to have a second job or a little side hustle. What do you mean? Like on some real shit, you gotta sell crack to be comfortable out here. And when I say crack, I'm talking about the shit you sniff and crack like your ass. Like you gotta be selling ass out there doing, ladies, because there's no way that you can get paid $25 an hour and clock in and clock out all week and it still won't be enough. You gotta do something else out this joint. I mean, if you think anything else, I don't know what to tell you. So you got the union workers asking for a 4% raise, 5% raise. I don't care what the numbers is. They not wrong. Everybody should be asking for a raise. It's fucked up out this joint, bro. How we mad or not supporting people that's wanting more money to do their job? I don't give a fuck if it was nurses, bus drivers, teachers.
So they can want more money for their job. However, it does matter because they are paid. Everybody's paid by somebody. So in order to pay somebody, you have to bring money in. So you can't just say that they should get more money. They should get this huge salary or this increase. You don't know the city's budget. You don't know how much it's going to cost them, to retain all of these employees. And once you sign the contract, you're set in stone. So right now, I believe the city has a surplus, but the surplus is for emergency situations. If something, a disaster happens, a flooding happens, if anything happens, you're supposed to be able to dip into that money without having to run to the federal government. You're not really supposed to have to run to the federal government. You're supposed to run your city, run your state in a way where you have the money to take care of your constituents, your citizens. Well, you're all citizens in the United States, but your people. I pay my taxes to Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. So if something happens, Philadelphia and Pennsylvania need to be able to take care of it. I pay taxes to the federal government separately, so they need to be able to handle whatever they are supposed to handle geopolitically and whatever. It's a wide scope of things that they take care of, but I pay them the money. I pay money here. I need everybody to do their job. And when we're talking about 9,000 workers, even something as small as $5 extra or $10 extra is hundreds of millions of dollars per year extra.
Everybody who fighting for a raise, I stand beside it because I know everybody is underpaid, been overworked. You get what I'm saying? I remember growing up, if you made like $12 an hour, you was touching some paper when I was like 18, 19. I get paid $12 an hour. If you get paid 25, shit, fuck it. We gonna say if you get paid $30 an hour, that still won't be enough for you to survive out here, bro.
If you get paid $30 an hour, I'm gonna do the numbers real quick because I'm not really sure what $30 an hour equals to, but that's crazy. You saying you can't make $30 an hour and be okay out here as a regular person. All right, so $30 an hour, 80 hours a week times 26 pays. That's $62,400 a year. If you can't make it off of $60,000, you have bigger problems.
Y'all wondering why it's all this criminal activity going on. Brinks trucks getting hit, stores getting robbed, niggas selling drugs. What else can you possibly do?
They've been robbing banks and hitting Brinks trucks since the 70s. Well, I don't know if Brinks was around, but they was hitting armored trucks. They was hitting banks back in the 70s, maybe even the 60s, the 80s, 90s. Like, this is not something new. Crime has been going on in the inner cities.
Do to put food on the table because the job not cutting it. So stop even telling people, man, niggas, man, go get a job. You got to go get jobs and to have a decent side hustle, bro. And then you got the people that be like, oh, people just need to live and stop living above their means. You not living above your means. Who the fuck want to go to work every day, do all this hustling, and can't afford nothing nice? I can't afford to buy a bag, a pair of shoes, take a nice trip. How is that living above your means?
It's living above your means. Your means are, first of all, you take care of your main necessities. You take care of your shelter. It might not feel good, but this is what you have to take care of: your shelter, your food, your transportation to work, your utilities. Those are your main things as a single person. If you have kids, you obviously have daycare, or you have to feed your kids, or whatever. But we're just going to operate under the fact this is a single person. So, I don't know. Let me run that back.
Bag, a pair of shoes, take a nice trip. How is that living above your means?
Yeah. So having a vacation or taking a trip is not as a luxury. So in order to get a luxury, you have to have money to afford luxurious things. So even if it's a small trip, you can save up. Most people save up for trips, or actually most people don't even take trips. But for people who do take trips, they have to save up money. So you take some money and you set it to the side, maybe for a year. You might pay on something for a year. You might pay $50 a month for $50 a paycheck for an entire year if you can afford that, just to take a trip. I talked to a guy before. He saved up for 2, maybe 3 years to take his daughter to Disney World. He couldn't afford to take his daughter to Disney World on a whim. You have to do the things. You either have to make more money, or you have to save money and sacrifice. It doesn't sound good, but everybody can't make $45 an hour, because if everybody makes $45 an hour, guess what? $45 an hour is the same thing as you making $12 an hour right now. That's the way inflation works. It's supply and demand. You can't get around it.
Everybody deserves to have some nice shit who working their ass off. But the moment you work your ass off, people living above their means. You got to be a fucking millionaire to be able to afford a fucking designer bag. So technically, everybody is living above their means. But it shouldn't even be like that. How the fuck I gotta make $100+ a year to take a nice vacation for my family? How am I gotta make $100K a year to be able to be approved for a fucking apartment? Like, this shit's stupid out here. Yo,
you do not have to make $100K. This is just lies, man. I don't know if he caught up in his feelings. He's a content creator, but this is ridiculous. And then this gets perpetuated by other people, and then it becomes like a thing. This is not a thing. You don't need $100,000 to get approved for an apartment. Is the amount that you have to put down on an apartment in the city of Philadelphia ridiculous? Yes, 3 times your income. You have to make 3 times the rent as your income. That's ridiculous. But you don't have to make 100,000. If you had to make 100,000, obviously it wouldn't be any apartments rented. It'd be barely any apartments rented, because most people don't make 100,000 or more. So that's false. And no, you can't afford to take your kids on vacation. Sorry. You might have to save up for a couple of years, or you need to make more money. You need to get more skills, or you might have to get a second job, a third job. People have been working second and third jobs since the 60s. This is not new. People have gotten lazier, and people want to live above their means. People understood before, like, no, you can't get that polo right there. No, you can get the polo maybe in a few months. I can save up and get you the polo. But I don't have it right now. You don't have it right now because you don't make enough money. And there's always going to be, this is capitalism. This is the way capitalism works. There's going to always be people at the bottom financially. There's going to be people at the top. And then there's a lot of nuance in between there, but that's what you have. You have the top, you have the bottom. At the bottom, the minimum wage here is absurd. I believe it's like $7.25 or $7.15 or something like that. The federal minimum wage is $7.25. Some places minimum wage is $14. $14 is kind of reasonable, but when you only make the minimum wage because you have no real skills, it's called unskilled labor. So you don't have any skills. You work at McDonald's, you work at Burger King, you work at even as a trash man. Now, trash man is a strenuous job, and they get paid more than minimum wage. However, it's a job that I can go out there and do. He can go out there and do. It's not a complicated job. So they say competence gets compensated. So when you get when you get competence in specialty areas, you get paid more. A doctor gets paid a lot, but a surgeon gets paid more. He specializes in something. A general practitioner makes less money than an oncologist. So you need to get skills or you need to get another job. You might have to get 3 jobs. Hopefully you have to get 3 jobs, but sometimes you have to get 2 jobs. And that's just kind of the way it is living in America. You can invest, you can figure it out. But here's another video. So I'm done on that. So let me go to another video.
I want to piggyback on what I was saying yesterday because I feel like a lot of y'all wasn't completely understanding what I'm saying. Y'all looking at these salaries and y'all not taking into consideration, for one, taxes and workload. The amount of work these companies want you to do and the amount of money they willing to pay you does not match up. You cannot work a 40-hour-a-week job in Philadelphia and feel like you successful unless you're getting paid $50 an hour.
If you are making minimum wage, you're not successful. You're not. If you're making 20, the average person working a job is not a financially successful person. I don't want to, downplay anybody in any way, but you're not financially successful if you're making $20 an hour, $25 an hour. That is not financial success. That is not going to take you into retirement. You're going to have to do other things, or you're going to have to lower the amount of money that you spend. That's just the way it goes. There's no way that anybody. So at working a regular job, so even in the 80s, when things were cheaper, nobody's going to feel successful making, what was minimum wage back there? $5 an hour. You're not going to feel successful making $5 an hour or $4 an hour, whatever minimum wage was back then. It was really low. And even with that, with things costing less, you still couldn't feel successful because you can afford the rent, you can afford to maybe go out to eat. But it depends on what you feel like is success. But what I think of as success, you would need hundreds of thousands of dollars to feel successful, to not have to worry. The car goes down, it can get fixed. You can afford a nice car. You can afford a home. You can afford to fix things in your home if something goes wrong. You're not paycheck to paycheck. You have an emergency fund in case something happens. Most people don't even know what a true, fully funded emergency account is. And respectfully, most people don't have one and can't really get one because some people don't make enough money and some people have too many expenses. Some are self-inflicted, kids, things of that nature, habits, drinking, smoking, whatever you got going on, clothes, dating, sex, partying, whatever you have going on, jewelry, whatever you're spending your money on, your disposable money on, is the reason why most people don't have an emergency fund.
You literally have to work 60, 80, 120 hours a week to have a good check. And then y'all talking about somebody living above their means. How are you just working to pay bills and you try to do any little thing, it's above your means? You want to buy an outfit, take a trip, celebrate something, it's above your means. Yeah. Y'all so brainwashed into thinking that shit normal that it's not. You get what I'm saying? This is why I want.
That is the normal American experience. If you're doing something other than that, you're not living the normal American experience. The average American person has, I believe, less than $500 in their savings account. That's what has unfortunately become normal in this country. So to have savings is abnormal. I think they said if you have $5,000 in your account, you're richer than like 85% of the world, or like something absurd like that. So most people don't have money, or most people are paycheck to paycheck. A lot of people shouldn't be paycheck to paycheck if they make a decent amount of money, but people spend a lot of money, and then people who don't have money, they'll spend the money before they get the money. They're broke before their next check. They broke 2 checks from there. $100 in the account, you on vacation. No, you haven't earned a right to go on vacation. It might be hard to hear that, but you haven't earned it. You need to stay down till you come up. Everybody just want to come up, blow up. Everybody just wants the end result. Everybody wants the six pack. Nobody wants to change how they eat. Nobody wants to actually work for the things that they want. They just want it to be handed to them. But if you just handed it, it wouldn't be special. It wouldn't be anything. That's the way life works in general. Like things that are more difficult to obtain are looked at in a higher regard. Things that are easy. Nobody cares about them because it's a given.
Want everybody to start being entrepreneurs or creating a side hustle where you can make some more money, because them jobs is going to keep you exactly where you at. And you got people in the comments saying stuff like, oh, you living above your means and you got to do this and that third. You cannot work 40 hours and be okay. Y'all looking at these salaries and not subtracting the taxes. You're not subtracting the cost of living. So let's just use the sanitation workers, right? Let's just run up to 40,000, right? That's roughly $3,000 a month after taxes. I could be wrong, right? That's after taxes, right? 3,000 a month. Let's just say you 22 years old, you working for them, you got no kids, no girl, right? Rent 1,500, $2,000 right there.
See, as we already messed up. You don't get to live in a place where rent is $2,000. This ain't New York. You can find places that's not $2,000 or even $1,500. You can find. First of all, you might need a studio. It's just you. It's just you. You gotta stay down. That's why people need financial advisors. People need help. If you need help, let me know below. I'll help you, because this is ridiculous. There are, and I know for a fact that there are places in this city that you can rent for $1,000, $900, 800 is pushing it. You can find an 800. It's not readily available, but like $900, $1,000, 1,100, those are reasonable things. And if you follow the rule, if you follow, some people do it 60, 65, 25, and 10%. So 65% for your your rent and your whatever your bills are, whatever to keep you afloat. 65% for that. 20%, 25% for your leisure activities, eating out, whatever that is not your main stuff, and then 10% for your savings. Or some people do 60, 30, 10. It's a close range of what people do, but you shouldn't spend more than, so even at 60%. So if you spend 60%, that gives you, hold on, let me pull up my calculator. So at $3,000 a month times, so 60%. If you spend 60% on just your needs, on just your needs, that's $1,800 that you have to take care of your transportation, your living, and your food. So you might need to stay in a studio apartment for $800. You might can't have a one bedroom. Sorry, you might need to find a roommate, unfortunately, until you can figure out how to make more money. Now, again, I'm not saying that they shouldn't have fought for that raise. I'm just saying this mentality of everybody should be paid some exorbitant amount of money. Everybody deserves a raise, or it's so hard out here. It's not easy. It's not easy, but life ain't easy. Sorry, that's just not the way life go. Life has never been easy. I don't know what generation they thought life was easy. They went through a Great Depression. They went through civil wars here. Yeah, like it's never been an easy thing. We've gone through the 2008 crisis. It's been a lot of events, and they had the oil crisis in the 70s. There's been a lot of events. Things are never going to be perfect for everybody. Actually, for most people, things are not going to be ideal, and you got to learn to deal with it. Life is about how you deal with stuff, how you overcome it. Not about complaining about this isn't enough. If it's not enough, go get some more. Now, some people should ask for more money. Am I happy about the strike that happened? No, they should ask for more money. But however, you're not in there. You don't even know how much they should get paid. Whenever I would ask people, so how much should they get paid? People will come up with ridiculous numbers like $35. So you give everybody a $15 raise, 9,000 people, $15 raise. Like people just they don't really understand how finances work. And even if they make more money, because I've been in this situation where I had two jobs, or I had a job and hustle, side hustle, whatever, and I made more money. I spent more money. Most people have a spending problem. You get that together, then you can save money.
God forbid you got a car note with insurance. God forbid
You don't get a car note when you only making $20 an hour, $25 an hour. You can't have it. Sorry, you might have to catch the bus, or you might can buy a used car. You don't get the Uber everywhere. You won't have any money. That's the way life goes. You're financially here. You're trying to live like you here, but you here. So that's when they say living above your means, because you want to do stuff that people do right here, but you here.
you want to eat. God forbid you want to buy an outfit. God forbid you want to take a trip. How can you survive off of that? You have to work double the amount of work because you need the overtime to say, I got a good check. So now you're working more just to say, I have enough money, but time is passing you by. You ain't getting no younger. That same 22-year-old, he working all them hours. By the time he wake up and by the time he realize, like, damn, I need better for myself, you 30. You didn't work your whole life. That's not the American dream. So like I said, I stand by what I said. One job in the city of Philadelphia is not enough to survive. And if it is, who just want to survive? Why nobody can't live comfortably? You miss one day of work, one paycheck ain't got the overtime you used to, and your whole month fucked up. That's not how it's supposed to be. I don't care what nobody say. The people that get comfortable with that is mind-blowing to me. You should never be okay, because it's not like the job you're doing ain't requiring you to do stuff. They're requiring you to be there 7 o'clock in the morning. They're requiring you to stay overtime if they need you to. It's too much of them wanting you to do shit.
So first of all, yes, you have to show up to work at the time that you're scheduled for, that you agreed to be there. This is the bare minimum. You just talking about showing up like that's the tough thing to do. And you talk about people getting mandated. I mean, if you get mandated, number one, you make a time and a half, so you're gonna come home with more than that $3,000. So what are you talking about? This just doesn't really make any sense. And then people always say even in the comments, pay people what they're worth. But people, oh, that's him. That he wrote that. Pay people what they're worth. But nobody ever says what their somebody's worth. Nobody ever puts a dollar amount onto it, and then they don't think about what it actually costs the business, or what it actually costs the city or state or whatever entity is paying them, because that's what's important. Most companies have a certain algorithm where they know that we make X amount per employee. So when I hire an employee, I want to profit off my employee, because this is not a nonprofit. We're not just here because we love you. We don't love you. We're a job. We want you to come in here, do a job, and make us more money than we spent on you. So when you understand that, you will understand that, this pay people what they're worth is dumb, is just as dumb as rich people should pay their fair share. But nobody ever knows what the fair share is. Nobody knows how the money that's already given to the government is being spent. So it's just catch-all phrases that really truly mean nothing at the end of the day. But that was a